Hello, hi. Repeat greetings. Welcome to the Emo Social Club podcast. This week only, am Brian.
And I am Lizzie, as every week. Sometimes Lizard to some people. Not all people, some people.
Not all people. Don't be weird about it.
Yeah, exactly.
We're back. We took last week as a week off because we did 2 podcasts the week before, and it was nice to kind of recharge for not doing anything. Because it's like, what are we recharging for? Oh, we got to fucking stay at home some more. Good thing we saved up our energy for that. We did a couple interviews the week before, so we didn't want to have a bunch of episodes in the bank because these are generally pretty topical, and we'll get into some topics of topicalness today that are happening as of the past week or so. First, I just want to give a couple plugs for the stuff that we've got going on. Lizzie, we're recording this on Wednesday. Lizzie just put out another episode of a mini Emo Social Club broadcast that went up this morning. So make sure you check that out. If you're subscribed to this podcast, you'll get it automatically in your subscription box. If you want to subscribe, I am about to tell you how. If you're Let's say that you're listening to this, and you're like, I wish that I heard this as a podcast. You can go to emosocial.club/ESC Apple or ESC Spotify, and you can subscribe to our podcast that way. emosocial.club, ESC Apple or Spotify. You'll get the podcast up on your screen and go, I'll subscribe to that. These friends, that'd be great.
These friends, that's how you become friends of the pod. Fun fact. If you ever wonder, that's how you become friends of the pod.
And you give us content. Those are the 2 ways.
And if you don't, you still give us contact by us low-key bashing you and then us telling you, and then you going through all the episodes to find out where we bashed you. So really, it's a win-win, but not for you.
You got to listen to every episode in order to understand where and when and how we bashed you. This week for streams, we have the one that this happened on every Wednesday. Going forward, the podcast will be back. We don't have any plans to take a break as of right now, but who knows? We might get tired of this shit. Thursdays has been, up until this point, a rock band night. And I think it's getting a little stale. So I've decided that I'm going to change it up. We're going to make it just a general video game night. We'll change it up and see what video games we play. I am going to, if you're listening to this on Monday, that's not going to be helpful for you at all. But every Thursday, I'll just change the video game. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow night. We're going to find it out. So, 7:30 on Thursdays Central Time. Friday is our DJ set at 5:30 p.m. I would say when it ends, but we've been kind of going long because people just are hanging out, sending requests, vibing. It's a good time. And if you are a friend of mine on the social medias, we had planned that my cover band, Eddie's Corner, was going to do a live stream show. Unfortunately, a member of the band was told that they were in proxy contact with somebody who contracted coronavirus. So just out of major precautions, he is quarantining. So we are postponing that. The date will be a tentative of August 1st. We'll see if that is the one that we end up with. We're just waiting for confirmation on that. But just want to give a heads up that hey, I promoted this thing, and then oh fuck. So, but obviously in these times, we're taking everything as it goes, and also exercising extreme caution even when it's not really necessary. If he came back with oh hey, I don't have it, we'd still would rather just push it back. So just taking care of our people, and we're gonna make sure it's a good set. Just have more time to make it even better now is how I see it.
See, there's positives.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all of the stuff we have coming up. Make sure to subscribe.
Oh, no, wait. We have Monday Emo Yoga. Wow. I can't believe.
Sorry. So, because I've been thinking, for our audience, because things kind of go like pretty straight through from like Wednesday on.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so I think of like Monday kind of like is the last thing we do every week, even though it's technically like on a weekly basis the first thing. Does that make sense?
It
It's
makes
stupid in
sense
my
because
brain, but
it's basically like your end of your work week, because for me it's the end of my work week.
yeah, fair.
So like we're on that same wave, but for a lot of other people it's not the end of their work
Right.
week, it's the
It's
start of
like,
it.
yeah,
We're reversed.
yeah. I don't have a job still, so my work week is just constant. Just weeks are blending into months. Yes, emo yoga every Monday, 7 p.m. with Lizzie. I've been checking out your playlists. They're good playlists, so the
I'm just
vibes are
saying,
right. The
if
stretches
you
are right.
want to send a song or something I should check out to put into it. We're also last week we did some more kick up stuff, so we got you moving, sweating a little bit.
Ooh,
So yeah, ooh,
the sweat,
the sweat.
the
Did some
sweats and the
squat
stretch.
kicks.
Squat
Like you're,
kicks.
yeah, you squat and then you like raise your leg and you kick it up and you
Oh
do
my
a
God.
twist. It's like when you're kind of like two-step in the pit, like you're kicking someone.
Oh hell yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that, but you're getting like a nice twist in your core and your sides, and then you'll
All
feel it
right.
in the morning.
All right. I get down with that.
See?
Cool. So yeah, we got a whole line of broadcasting for you, activities for you to participate with, and stuff you can just chill, watch, enjoy, grab a claw. Sponsored by, not sponsored by.
But maybe sponsored by.
Also, I haven't done this yet, but I'm like, fuck anybody who keeps saying not sponsored, like when there's like clearly not sponsored by somebody. Like I just think the joke is played out, and I'm like, I know that I'm guilty of it in the past, and I know that I will be guilty of it in the future, but I'm just like, man, fuck anybody who does it, especially me.
Oh my god.
It's like, we know you're not sponsored, you don't have to tell us, like you have to disclose it, and if you're
Except the one day that we get sponsored by somebody, God
Oh my
willing,
God,
we're gonna be
willing.
like, they're gonna sit there and be like, you're not really sponsored. Where's the joke? And you're gonna be like, no, really, please.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I think it's like, you've got like you're like a YouTuber with like 20 followers, 20 subscribers, which is, by the way, my YouTube channel that I put out middling content on once every when I feel like it. And it's like, if I then said in a video, not sponsored, like I would be watching my videos and go, man, fuck this guy. This guy should shut the fuck up. So it's more or less like a thing of like, say whatever you want to say on your videos. Who cares? Do your thing. But at the same time, I'm like, man, fuck this guy. And also that guy's me. That's all.
Okay.
All right. Let's get into some of the talking points that have come up over the last 2 weeks.
It's been a lot.
Yeah. Can you just, Lizzie, if you had to give like a 1-sentence summary of the last 2 weeks, go for it.
A lot of things got canceled. And then people didn't want to cancel them.
That's true.
And now things are hitting the fan again. And that's pretty much for everything. Literally everything.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, there's a lot of news, and I would hate to like, I don't know, focus on anything that's like not that crucial. Although I would say that like, Riot Fest and My Chem rescheduling their dates is like a big thing for our audience. Riot Fest and Lala, I think that happened since we were talking to.
Yeah, Lala canceled, and then I also know I know at least Shaky Knees on Atlanta finally canceled. They tried to reschedule for October.
Mm-hmm.
And then Smashing Pumpkins canceled their date, and that was one of their headliners.
Mm.
And pretty much it was like a domino effect. Anything that's really was going to happen that was worthwhile for us waiting at the end of the proverbial tunnel of like the spring summer coronavirus outbreak completely was squashed.
Yeah.
So when we go into September, we'll just have to wait until next year. The one thing that Riot Fest did do that nobody else has done from what I've seen is that they have actually released a good like lineup so far for next year. And like nobody else has done that.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a big power move, honestly.
Like considering that, so I think from Riot's end, and of course we have some context there, but I have not talked to any of them about this because I cannot imagine the kind of stress that they're under right now. Like any of those memes where it's like a small animal and it's like, please don't bother me, I'm under a lot of stress.
Yes.
They are obviously an independent festival as far as like Chicago is based. So the money that people have purchased tickets with is in their pockets, expected that they will have these tickets to go to the show this year. And now if you say, yeah, we're canceling it, then as we learned from Ticketmaster and Live Nation and all that, if you cancel it, then everybody can get their money back. And obviously there are people that will still need to do that for Riot Fest, but if you're an independent festival and you need to keep as much money working for the people that are employed there, for locking in bands, for all this kind of stuff, you need that, cash on hand to use. And then you have to make it worthwhile for the customer to not ask for their money back. And I think that by releasing a stacked lineup, a phenomenally good lineup, I'm actually like super stoked. And assuming that was what was going to happen this year and now it's just happening next year, I certainly think that this is like a very, very strong lineup for Riot Fest, and adding an additional day with
if you buy your ticket before
Yeah.
July 16th, that's the big kicker.
Yeah. So if you already have a ticket and if you
You're
buy a
fine.
ticket before July 16th, you're good. You're able to get into the festival next year, and you'll have an additional day of the festival on Thursday with bands that are yet to be announced, some bands that are only playing that night. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, that's definitely going to help.
It's basically like you're going to go to 4 days of Lollapalooza, but it's not going to be anywhere near 4 days of Lollapalooza where I want to fucking die.
Yeah. And potentially and realistically, there are going to be way less people on Thursday night than there will be at any of the other days. So you'll actually be in a less packed event with bands that nobody else will be able to see, and first access to merch, first access to everything in the park. So yeah, it's awesome. And I think that that's definitely going to help them like have some money on hand, have some, have a product that people can buy in order to support Riot Fest. For everybody's struggling this year. Everybody's having a hard time, especially if you're independent, especially if you're working on all of it on your own and you've got employees to pay. And now you can't even do the main thing that you exist to do. I certainly think that if you are able to buy your ticket now, go for it. I haven't bought mine yet, but I plan to because I want that extra night. So I will be buying a ticket and I will see everyone there.
Literally.
You.
Just know that at least my friends and I, once we saw the new lineup, because most of my friends that I go to these festivals with, they're not super active on social media like I am. So I saw it and I sent it all to them. I'm like, so what's our plan? And we pretty much came to the conclusion of we're just gonna drink a gallon of Pedialyte before and after each day.
Oh.
To prevent dehydration and dying. And I highly suggest all of you to do the same. And throughout the day too.
Just for our audience to know, in case you haven't seen it, I'll read off like some of the I guess the relevant names for our podcast.
You would know.
Yeah. My Chem is still headlining. Smashing Pumpkins, like you mentioned, I guess it's one of those things where you can kind of guess like, well, it's either Lala or Riot, and in this case, it's Riot. Run the Jewels, God, they were so good when they played a couple years ago.
Which I find is a big plot twist, because Pitchfork was originally supposed to have them and we snatched them up, and they can't play because of that radius clause. So
yeah, fuck you, Pitchfork. Coheed and Cambria is awesome. Taking Back Sunday, of course. Lupe Fiasco, Vic Mensa, All American Rejects, Newfound Glory, Simple Plan, Thrice, Circus Survive. I guess Circus Survive was going to play, and I was like, I bet they're going to be there. And I'm excited for that. Best Coast, Bayside, Meg Myers, Pup, Mayday Parade, Fever 333. It's going to be so good. Living Color is playing, which sounds awesome. If you don't know who Big Frida is, look her up. She's great.
Oh yeah, she's fun.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the better sets of that entire weekend. Thursday, Saves the Day, Don Broco. Meet Me at the Altar.
I love them.
Yeah,
I love them for like the last 3 years, and now everyone is finally getting on the train. That was the last show I saw before everything got shut down.
Oh my God.
At Inside Town. I was at this DIY show, and I was standing there. I'm like, I think I'm the oldest person here, and I'm 25.
Huh.
Like, all right.
Sucks,
And
doesn't
then I
it?
saw someone I went to high school with who is older than me, so I felt less bad about it. But then I was like, what are you doing here?
Why are you here?
Why are you here?
We've also got Boston Manor, The Sounds, which the Sounds are so good too, and Kenny Hoopla, who we have shouted out
Big
as
hype.
he's fantastic. So yeah,
He's charting on Billboard for
good.
his song now, which is amazing.
So
I heard
good.
it actually one night because my stereo receiver obviously plays like the radio, but I always just hook it up for my vinyl, and I turned it on one night and it was like one of the songs. I'm like, wait, I know this song. And then I heard it. I was like, are
You're
you
like,
fucking
"What?"
kidding me? It was on
Yeah.
KQX and I'm like losing my mind.
Go check out Kenny Hoopla. He is he only has like a couple EPs out or something, but God, he's really good. So I was very excited to see his name on there. Lineup looks great. So yeah, we'll see y'all in 2021 for that. There's more names to be announced, more stuff to be announced. Buy a ticket now to support Riot Fest and also to get in on that super special night.
Yeah. Also, for anyone wondering, My Chemical Romance will be playing September 18th because it says so on their rescheduled dates.
Yeah, they have
which is Sunday, right? I think.
Oh,
I think it's the Sunday.
I closed the window now. Sure. Go all 3 days, you cowards.
4 days.
Go all 4 days, you cowards.
If you've gone to 4 days of Lala, if you've gone to 1 day of Lala, you can go to 4 days fucking Riot Fest.
Dude, you can.
As somebody who's gone to Lala all 4 days multiple times, when I had to work the next morning too, you can go. You're fine. You maybe not fully fine. You'll be fine. Drink some Pedialyte. You're fine.
I've never done that, but I still won't.
We went to Lala last year. It was fine.
Yeah, but I only did 2 days of Lala last year.
It was fine. It was great.
It was rough. Let's talk a little bit more music news. Lizzie, you've been pretty active on the tweets this week and last week.
Yeah.
And have been telling me some news, which I know there's
a lot of things going on.
There's a lot of things. So I don't know if talk to me about the tweets. Talk to me about your tweets.
Okay, so I also did this thing where I had a good 2 hours down free at work at 2:30 in the morning. So I comprised a Google Doc list of relevant explanations for what we're about to talk about. And then
I feel like you were like super bored, but you're also like getting into some shit that it's like this is not what you should do when you're bored.
Yeah, basically, because I don't know what to do. I can't ever take a day off. I'm one of those people that they're like, "Oh, you're high strung all the time," and I'm like, "Yeah, because I make myself because I don't know how to live with just not doing anything. It freaks me out."
Oh, I
don't know. I haven't talked to my therapist about that yet, but that's fine. Next Monday, we're fine. So what kind of kickstarted this off is this comedian called Chris D'Elia. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He's like 40 years old. Chris D'Elia. He looks fucking creepy. And all of a sudden he came out of nowhere being accused of like being like a fucking pedophile, essentially. And there was all these like receipts from these girls who were underage, like 17 and under to 14 years old was like the youngest that I saw. And it was really disturbing because this man is 40 years old. And some of these allegations were from anywhere from like 5 to 10 years ago, I believe. And even then, like as like a 30-something-year-old man, he was texting these underage girls like he was like a 13-year-old boy or like a 16-year-old boy. Like, oh my God, hey, it really creeped and grossed me out because you know that they're purposely doing that to connect with them on like their level instead of being like, I'm an adult, like you should treat me like a whole ass adult,
right?
Not like, I'm your peer. You're like, yeah, basically, because you shouldn't be interacting with that older people.
You should not,
unless they're like, maybe at your job. But if they're fucking creepy, don't interact with them.
I'm gonna go with you. There's very few reasons to interact in that way.
With like a 15-year age difference, especially when you're underage. And I know there's been a lot of people saying online like, 17 is the age of consent in a lot of places, or some other places it's 16. Okay, but like you were still like a whole ass child. Do you live at home with your parents and are in high school? You are a whole ass child. If you are 18 or 19 years old, I know this is controversial, you are a whole ass child. I'm 25. I'm a whole ass child. Okay.
Imagine this is my issue with everything on the internet in general. Is like you say, "Hey, this awful creepy thing happened," and somebody goes, "Well, I mean, legally, like it's fine." It's like, why the fuck are you here? Why are you saying this? It doesn't really matter what the
Are you doing
legality of it
this
is.
too?
Like, yeah, like the fuck? Like just don't. That's not it's not appropriate. It doesn't
It's not
really
up for
matter.
debate. And the
Yeah.
other issue too was that he was like grooming people. And I mean, we've heard
Yeah.
that term used before, especially with like William Control, where he was in a similar but more like sadistic
Yeah.
simulation, situation where he was, getting a hold of his fans and then being like, "Oh my God, like I'm in this band you really like, and I want to hang out with you as like a teenager," which any teenagers would be like, "Yeah, that's like fucking cool," because they're like, "Oh, like I'm listened to, I'm heard, I'm seen, I'm respected."
Yeah.
Which obviously a lot of teenagers don't feel like they are, depending on the situation. And then they kind of groom them to be like, "Oh yeah, like you should be doing these things, you should be listening to this other person you're in a relationship with, whether it's good or bad. Oh, you should always be at their beck and call," like all these very negative toxic traits that as we grow older, we hopefully are able to unlearn those and know better,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to catch that when we see that, and like either call people out on it, or just avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're that young, you don't know any better, and especially if you're not like telling your parents,
Which you're
they're
not.
obviously not going to know. And then like if you tell your friends, they're also going to be like, "Oh shit, like I don't want like to get in trouble or any crazy shit to happen." So it's very manipulative. And the Chris D'Elia's Diallo, whatever the fuck it is,
Delia,
it's fucking
yeah.
pedo. um his response was basically like he just like ghosted on social media, like deleted everything. um and then that kind of had a trickle down effect, at least in our scene, where somebody came forward and accused Bart, I believe he's like the lead singer of Mom Jeans, or like the lead guitarist in Mom Jeans, and said that in high school, so about like 10 or so years ago for this individual, Bart had like bullied this girl to the point where she was like ready to commit suicide. And there was like no really receipts to look at it. And there was like nothing on Mom Jean's Bart's side to come out and say anything about it. And pretty much everybody in the comments were saying, "I just don't believe that," because they're a pretty popular indie punk rock band
Mm-hmm.
among a lot of people. I mean, like I would listen to Mom Jeans and I'd be like, "Okay, they're pretty good. Like they're tolerable. They're almost like every other mom, dad, parental unit name band out there nowadays."
Just put
And
two words together and you have a band that sounds exactly like
exactly,
whatever they're selling you.
exactly.
I am
So
jaded
yeah,
on band names, but
it's the trend.
fuck that trend.
But so that happened, and all the comments were like, "I just don't believe that. This happened so long ago. Why would it matter?" And that has always been kind of divided with a lot of people in general across the board and mainstream society as well, because we've also seen with accusers who have come out, like the Biden accuser came out, decades after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand that, sometimes when you have the type of trauma, like it takes you a while to understand that it was what it is because of
Mm-hmm.
either lack of proper education or you suppress it. And there was a lot of people calling her out on that and saying that, this is very negative and, you're just trying to get clout. But there's actually a really good Psychology Today article that's actually really simple and like super easy to read, like a quick like 5-minute read, that explains why it's therapeutic for people to just come out publicly or to say
Mm-hmm.
it to like a wide variety of like people, like close friends or whomever, about past traumatic experiences that they have had, because it helps them heal and move forward more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what actually we started to see a lot this past week. It kind of came like wildfire because there was also Austin Carlisle of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
Alt Press ran an article where they pretty much like sidestep all his entire all the allegations that were put towards him from about 15 women, where he was also accused of underage grooming and sexual solicitation and sexual assault against them. and in a super gross misuse of ethical journalistic judgment and practice, in my personal viewpoint of it. And they basically put out this article, disregarded it, and then didn't want to go forward with it because they didn't have the proper legal procedures to go through it. Because anytime you come up with like kind of sexual assault allegation, you're obviously going to have like, I'm going to sue you for defamation and libel. And we could kind of see that too with if anybody's listened to like the Ronan Farrow's Catch and Kill podcast or read the book that's about him finding out more info about Harvey Weinstein and getting him out into the public eye and saying like, hey, like you completely misused your power and like you completely screwed over and hurt all these women. You kind of have to have like a good legal backing because they're going to come at you and then you're probably going to have some type of trial. Like that's usually what you have to think of. And All Press didn't think of that and just thought of, let's just save our asses and not do it, kind of mention it, but then let's also bury it to the point where we're kind of invalidating the victims who came forward. And a lot of people obviously called them out on it. This one girl who I guess was the main girl to possibly be interviewed came forward and had like all these text receipts and everything. And All Press tried to like DM her on Twitter, was like, oh, hey, we'll like run the story now that we have like, they switched over editor in chiefs to two women that they already had like in their company. And they're like, well, we're going to look into this more and like, let's re-interview you. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that, but I'll talk to any other publication about it. But because a lot of these publications who would, really love to run this interview and talk with these victims, they don't have the legal backing to do it. Because even though it's like Of Mice and Men was like this, I didn't like Of Mice and Men, so shitty hardcore band in like the mid 2000s, he still probably has a decent amount of money from just like sponsorships and producing whatever else he does behind the scenes. And then the other thing was that he pretty much said that like, oh, I found God, so I'm all chill now, peace out, bye. And then he also included in his he put an Instagram post out that said, oh, but my wife's a sexual assault survivor and we're having a baby, so I'm not a bad person anymore. Jesus forgives me, bye. And then like it's been off social media. And then there's just been a good plethora of other like kind of smaller bands. Some of them were like local bands that I kind of have heard about, but I haven't been super aware about. But I know some of our listeners probably know more about them or may follow them. So I've been kind of like retweeting those things. The other part of the Mom Jeans situation, though, was that Bart did come back, the singer accused, and actually said like, oh, this girl who was accusing me was actually equally as awful to me, and what I did wasn't right, but also, shit happens, it's in the past, get over it, essentially. And a lot of people kind of agreed with that, but at the same time, that's still invalidating to so many people who are coming forward later on. I did actually see a tweet that really upset me from a photographer of a larger indie music publication, like online publication, and he had just tweeted basically what it was, well, I got bullied in high school and I got over it, so why are we talking about it now? And it's like there's a significant difference between you getting bullied in high school and like if you were being physically bullied or whatever, or verbally, whatever it is, but you're able to move on in life. If you are getting bullied to the point where you are contemplating or almost completing suicide, that's a completely different story.
I always have an issue when someone, you ever like you're telling somebody like, oh man, I'm really tired today, and they go, yeah, I got like so little sleep, I'm like really tired. And I'm like, yeah, I only got like a couple hours. Like, oh man, I only got like 30 minutes. It's like, that doesn't wake me up. That doesn't like make me feel less tired by you comparing it. Like, can it just be that you're hearing me, or like we're having this conversation about our experience, and like you don't have to compare someone else's experience to your experience. Like, you can just say that was your experience. Whatever you, and I think that most people will I think everybody needs to go through like customer service training, because you learn this, and you like,
oh,
when you're speaking to somebody, it's like whatever somebody is experiencing is their experience, period. So like I'm not, if these are accusations, if these are truths, if these are receipts, if these are whatever, like that person's experience is their experience. You're not going to be able to take that away with a fucking tweet. Like so many people out here is like, well, I can solve this. I got this. 240 characters. I only need half of that. Like you're not solving anything by trying to belittle or take away someone else's experience. And for the most part, like you said, everyone is just trying to deal with their experience and their trauma and put it out there into the world to help them with the coping of it. We hear the story time and time again of somebody abusing their power, of somebody taking advantage of people because they have that power. And then as soon as like someone comes around to hold them accountable for that, as everyone should expect, if you've done some shit that is unapologetic, like it just is best to acknowledge that you caused or someone has had that experience and to work through from there, as opposed to like making yourself sound like, no, but that's not true. No, you shouldn't feel that way. You should feel like this instead. It's like, dude, just like work it out. The only reason this person is having this experience and is putting it out there into the world is because it happened to them from all these people. Like,
and that's
the sad thing is you had like multiple stories. Like, it's not like,
right. That's
oh,
the thing.
it's a
Like, it's a
one-off.
consistent trend. It's a trend at that point.
Yeah. Like it's happening everywhere, and especially in media, we're going to hear about it because it's people that have a position of power who are public, who are seen, who are someone's favorite band, someone's favorite comedian, someone's favorite actor or whatever. And they're like, I don't want this person to have this platform and be able to use it to do this to somebody else. And I agree with you that All Press did a bad job of like having information and not doing anything about it. And I've always it's like one of those things where I think this has been an ongoing thing for a while. It's just finally All Press is being held to account for it. But you have this magazine that is making whatever money off of a very small amount of bands that are also not making a lot of money, like in the grand scheme of things. Like the stakes for alt press and the stakes for these bands are a lot lower monetarily than a lot of other people in the media, even like a Crystalia, who is probably much more wealthy than most of these bands and this magazine, like you've got much higher stakes in certain cases and you've got much lower stakes here with All Press. And I understand that like All Press is like legally we have this and there are these complications with that, but like at the same time, man, if you've got information, like it's got to go to the right place, or you're going to be seen as somebody who's like, I'm protecting him because he makes me money. And that's the issue of the guys club and
that's the entire issue with it, is because you're not showing balanced journalism. So when you're in journalism school, literally any fucking class, honestly, either undergrad or master's degree, wherever it is, they want you to show both sides of the story, whether you like it or not. You have to include whatever counter argument that there is.
Should Fox News take that course?
God, it would be so helpful.
Lizzie and I go back on this a lot, like, because obviously I agree with you. Like, yes, you should show both sides. You should explain both sides. Of course, one side in general nowadays is like wrong as hell. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to show it to you, but like it's super wrong. And then modern media, major media channels are just like, nah, I don't want to, so I'm not going to. And they get more popular because they don't. If you only show one side and you just talk shit about the other side, you get more popular. So
I mean, that's how it is. I mean, that's the same thing too with MSNBC and even CNN too, which, sorry to say to everybody, but I literally was at, pre-coronavirus, I was out to eat with my family, and where we were, they had two TV screens, literally one TV screen here was Fox News, the other one here is MSNBC,
That restaurant's
and
trying to
you
show
could
both
just
sides.
see it was literally I was like watching it and like reading the subtitles and like the lower thirds and everything. I'm like, these are so skewed to each of their
Yeah.
like extreme left and right spectrum. And MSNBC left meaning like left neoliberal. Okay,
Sure.
I'm not saying like extreme left
Oh,
wing.
it's
Okay, it's
it's
neoliberal left
centrist.
wing. It's different.
It's centrist.
Um, but that's what it is, and it like just blew my mind in that moment. I'm like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Like if only people would know like that's actually happening and want to accept the fact, because we create an echo chamber for ourselves a lot of time. Obviously, like we do it even without knowing, because we're just like, well, we shouldn't have, a lot of these things going on in the world happening. So I'm going to like retweet like all these things. And then you kind of find yourself in the same like, oh, I'm not seeing a lot of other news about other things or like updates about, something outside of whatever you've been retweeting, because that's just how the algorithm works. And you put yourself in that unless you're cognitive on it and like you're self aware.
Yeah.
You're not going to get yourself out of it.
Yeah. Confirmation bias is the phrase that comes to mind about it, and I think that is applicable when you're thinking about like when you're hearing this news about something that someone you love in the media, in a band, in whatever, is now having this stuff brought to light about them. And you're like, I'm looking for the person that just says, no, it's not true, or no, that's impossible. And giving everybody has the opportunity to present their side of it and to present their case and give that, but I don't know what that is. I'm just saying that they at least have the time and the place and the availability to do that sort of thing. But like as an audience member, as a person who's reading these articles, as a person who is going into these things losing that artist, that person who has meant this to you, like of course you're going to have some confirmation bias looking for the person who says it's not true when you're hearing this hard news that like somebody you respected is actually a piece of shit. Like of course. That's really more of just a pointing out an issue. I don't really have a solution for it.
Like, well, that's kind of the thing, because everybody, especially with like the mom gene situation, people were saying, "Oh, you guys." So the big thing was, "Oh, we shouldn't be calling out people for things that they posted on Twitter like 10 or so years ago," especially with protests and Black Lives Matter, like adjusting your language as you learn as you get older is what it pretty much meant.
Yeah,
and people were really, really clinging to that and saying like, oh, you guys aren't really what you say, you're hypocrites. And then also going into, oh, you're all for cancel culture. But we're going to break this down really quickly, because I found the differences between that and call out culture and woke activism.
Yes.
So I had this really good Vox media article that I found. It's called "What is Cancel Culture?" Explained in like a historical debate. And what it pretty much says is, well, first, Urban Dictionary has the definition for canceled is to dismiss something or somebody, or to reject an individual or an idea. And then dictionary.com has actually added that it also has an explanation about canceling people in it too, because this has become such a big phenomenon.
Right.
And so what, for quote from Vox Media, is the rise of cancel culture and the idea of canceling someone have become polarizing topics of debate as a familiar pattern has emerged. A celebrity or a public figure does something or says something offensive. Public backlash, often fueled by politically progressive social media, ensues. Then comes a call to cancel that person. And essentially that's basically to shut them and their entire lives down. But the thing is, when we look at a lot of these people are actually like having to put disclaimers. These accusers are putting in like disclaimers in their tweets, like, I'm not looking for clout. I just want to put a warning out there to people. And that's when you come out to call out culture, which we seem to always forget exists. We always seem to be thinking it's either we're chill and we're hanging, or we're going to dismiss it, or it's all the way over to canceled. This is kind of the middle ground.
Americans are really bad at nuance.
Yeah, they are, as we've seen.
Yeah.
So call out culture is supposed to be, quote, the natural escalation from pointing out a problem to calling for the head of the person who caused it. So call out culture is basically your fave is problematic. If
Mm-hmm.
you guys were ever on Tumblr and you're like, your fave is problematic because of XYZ. And it's pretty
I was
predominantly
never
found
on
in
that
fandoms.
Tumblr.
Okay. I was on different Tumblrs that had that. Um
Yeah.
I was not any of that.
I was on the
I hope
different
I'm not. I don't
Tumblrs.
believe so. Um, but also, if all everything pretty much mentioned call out culture and cancel culture falls under outrage culture. So imagine that
Mm.
there's little diagram, there's graphics. We don't know how to do that. I can't do it, but I don't want to. It's a lot.
There'd be a really nice
I scream a lot
PowerPoint
when I do it.
right here
The
in
nice
the
PowerPoint. So here is
come to the Twitch
outrage
stream to look at
culture.
our PowerPoints.
Outrage culture, and then you have point A, which is cancel culture. Then you have point B, which is call out culture. Um, but basically canceling, to quote Vox again, is a way to acknowledge that you don't have to have the power to change structural inequality. And it's also kind of it's noted in this article too that cancel culture or like cancel was pretty much started by black individuals too.
Mm-hmm.
So that is also interesting to see kind of like how we've transformed it over to this big thing, because obviously it was like, oh, my friend doesn't like this band, they're canceled, just very joking like, and now it's
Right.
completely extreme.
Right.
And this is basically saying that this was supposed to be a way to like take like people out of positions of power that you wouldn't have been able to do before, but it's been transformed so much because there's so much crap going on in social media that it's become such like a negative word. So now we have to kind of navigate away from cancel, and we should be navigating away to call out culture, because
Mm-hmm.
that's technically what it is now. And to also divert the fact that we're trying to cancel somebody to get clout, or so we can just see their lives be miserable and burn, when in all reality you're just like, a lot of people are just saying, I just want people to be aware that this person who is maybe Joe Biden, is maybe Harvey Weinstein, is maybe, this
We
big,
can also throw Donald
person in a
Trump under the
band.
bus there
Yeah,
too.
and Donald Trump. We can
We
all these
can.
people.
We don't need to throw just Biden under that when like anything Biden's
And
done
Trump.
has, yeah,
It's been
10,000
awful.
times worse by Trump.
Or anybody that, is a predominantly large celebrity or public figure, and they get, accused of this. It's, they just want people to not have that power anymore. Because again,
Mm-hmm.
like we said earlier, you have like these underage girls, for example, coming up to these older adult men, whether they be in their early 20s or they're in their 30s, whatever it is, at some point you do know mentally like this isn't right to do, but I'm still going to do it. And I can use the power that I have because I have notoriety, because I know I have all these fans, because I know I have the social media presence to do it. And I'm going to use that to my personal advantage, whether it be right or wrong or in
Mm-hmm.
between, whatever it is, because they know that they can do it because they have the power. And that's what it pretty much distills down to at the end of the day, is having power.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the biggest issue that's kind of come out of it, because I thought about it after I kind of like called out the one photographer person, because I didn't appreciate that. Um,
Good.
and I was like, yeah, okay, I can see what you mean by cancel culture, but let's look at it at a deeper level, because it doesn't seem like anybody is really doing that nor wanting to do it. They just want to see it across the board on the surface, which we've seen before is super problematic.
Yeah. You would not see cancel culture if there was some form of system within either private industry, within companies, within corporate culture, within the music culture, within just male culture, like that was already doing the job of it, so that other people on Twitter didn't have to. Like, if there was somebody who had the ability to hold any of these men to account on their actions when they were starting, then they would not have been able to continue. Then there would not be need for public outcry. I think we'll get into a little bit of the Black Lives Matter stuff in a bit, but just to compare it to that part of the news as well, it's like you would not have all of these people in the streets asking for something if it was already being provided But what you're saying, what cancel culture essentially is a reaction to the fact that there are a lot of powerful men who utilize their platform to take advantage of people who do not have power. Whenever you, if you ever are like, and I heard this actually about right wing media and how they complain because they tell jokes and people don't get the joke, and it's like it's like a rule of comedy that you only punch up, you never punch down, because it's not funny to watch somebody in power hurt people who are weaker than them. It's like a basic truth of humanity that like generally people don't like to watch somebody who is very powerful beat up on somebody who is not. We don't watch Marvel movies because we hope that Iron Man is like just gonna fucking beat up everybody. That's why we watch Batman, because he beats up people who are weaker than him. So there you go. Now you have a little bit of a critique on Batman, and being a capitalist who beats up on the poor at night. So it felt very similar to me to like see that as like maybe that's a reason why we see this differentiation between what people believe happened and what the victims are saying, and like how they don't believe the victims is because they don't fully believe that you as a person should not beat up on somebody who's who's less powerful than you, should not take advantage of somebody who has less power than you. And what you're seeing as a result of this is people who have less power than somebody trying to fight back, utilizing the only platforms they have, which usually is more people that are less powerful than somebody else. I mean, we are a podcast currently streaming on Twitch to 4 people at this moment.
Love
but
it.
You know, it's like our platform is not that large. If we really needed to get something else out there, we would need to utilize a lot more people who also have that platform to get it out there. So to me, people who are upset about cancel culture, and I don't like cancel culture, I hate it. I think that it does nothing to rehabilitate, which I believe is the only thing you can hope to do with this. But if we were doing the job of utilizing this public outcry to ask for accountability from the people around these people, from people who are allowing these positions of power to exist, from people in corporations, from people at magazines that don't hold people accountable, from people at record labels who are making money off their bands. I did see another band was dropped from their label. I don't remember the band at all, but they were like, we just found out about these allegations. The band is dropped. It's like, yeah, that's what you have to do. And it's not because like we want to ruin this person's life. It's because we need to take them out of the situation in which they are causing harm, in which they are in power and have the ability to cause harm. And now we need to rehabilitate them to hopefully get them to a place where they are no longer causing harm to people. And the harm that they have caused, while they can't take it back, it needs to be a learning experience. They need to be punished. I'm hesitant to say anything about jail or incarceration or anything like that, but I don't have the solution. I'm just saying I don't necessarily believe that jail is the solution. Counseling and things tend to be, I don't know. I'm talking like I don't
That's
understand.
also a lot more stuff that I feel like most of us haven't touched on or would know, especially at this point.
Yeah.
I think
my hands are up on the podcast. Like, I don't know the answer.
God.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know what the answer is. It's just that there has to be some form of solution to that when you ask for those things through public outcry. So I like call out culture of like, hey, everybody, here's a fact that you may not know. I would love for you to be on our side and try to change this fact to something better, because no one in power is going to hold that person accountable for their power unless there's some sort of
multiple people and other repercussions that may come from
repercussions. Yeah, exactly.
The next thing that really crosses my mind is that, let's say you do have somebody who actually wants to change or show that they have changed, and what exactly is like the perfect, I'm going to put this air quotes, perfect, like, letter or response to the public after that? Mm-hmm. Because we've seen so many over the last like 5-6 years, and it seems like it's hard to, like, what, like, it's basically like grocery lists. Like, what do we put in the cart to make the best
Yeah,
letter
yeah.
of accountability. Like, what are we gonna
It's
do?
copy paste.
Exactly.
I
But
I've
then
made a
you still see a lot of
mistake.
people. I made a mistake,
I
but
have a
then
I have a consistent lapse in judgment, and I apologize to those that I've hurt. I would like to individually
do things.
apologize. Yeah, I will be working on change. I don't know.
Something like
I
that.
don't
But
feel like I'm far off, even though I'm
no,
ad
but
libbing.
that's the
Like,
thing too, because people will like put out statements and then it's like you analyze it and you say, okay, is this them taking accountability? Is this them saying, oh my God, my life was ruined, so now I have to take accountability?
mhm.
Oh, I got caught, so now I have to take accountability so I don't look like an asshole? Or is it genuine? But then if it's genuine, it seems to never be enough for a lot of people at the same time. And that's where it becomes more concerning because again, like I think the new idea of rehabilitation and like accepting that people have grown and changed is a really new idea to a lot of people in this
Yeah.
cancel culture, which is, it's honest to say because that's what it is. Because a lot of us are still like, we can't just cancel people out of society as much as we would like to for certain individuals. But when it comes to these things and they're still also like involved in like the music scene, for example, like we have to, obviously it's an individual choice. I
Mhm.
don't listen to Pine Grove, even though one of my friends loves Pine Grove. We just don't speak about Pine Grove as friends.
I mean, sometimes you don't know about all the weird stuff. To
Exactly.
quote the 1975 in their
Stop.
song,
Yeah.
which,
So,
yeah,
well, I
whatever.
know that, I was reading their statement and everything and what they have done at shows, but for me, I was like, okay, but it just seems like because their PR firm is Pitchfork, kind of swept under the rug, went away for a bit, came back, put out a statement, and then had a couple like organizations at their comeback shows, which were like all fucking sold out. And then there really wasn't too much accountability otherwise. What I do I think some good examples in my perspectives, I could be wrong. I have seen just like a lot of these different ones, and I've seen a lot of people's reacts to it. Is when Tiny Moving Parks, I believe, is their bassist got called out about a year and a half ago,
Yes.
and he came back with some really good points in his letter back to the public, saying that he had gotten like mental health treatment. He was continuing to go get therapy, and he was talking with these people um and that was like I feel like a pretty good note to people. And I mean, it hasn't necessarily damaged them too much. I were to think, I know people are so obviously, oh, I'm still not going to support them. Obviously, that's
Mhm.
fine. That's up to you. You do what you want. But I've also seen once from the band The Rex, and they got called out. It was actually at the show I was at in Chicago at Lincoln Hall.
Uh-oh.
And
But it
because the
wasn't
lead,
you, to be fair.
it was not me. It was
Okay.
not me. Because he had made a pregnancy abortion joke on stage.
Ooh.
And yeah, which I was like, okay. Like, I mean, that
It's
sounds bad
so
for me to
easy not
say.
to do that.
Yeah. That's like,
I've
because I'm
gone
like,
this
I've also been to a
entire
lot of other shows too where I have had heard similar jokes and I had never really thought about it. I was always
Mhm.
like, okay, like, yeah, I get it. Um, but obviously people viewed it as offensive, and I was like, okay. And then there were some other, I don't remember what the other allegations were specifically, but I don't remember what they were. But the lead singer pretty much came forward and was like, hey, like I super apologize, like I did not mean it to be offensive. And you could read the letter, and it's actually sounded very genuine, not to just like save his ass or anything.
Mhm.
And he was like, I didn't mean this wasn't my intention. And then he pretty much, I know he went to go like get to get mental help, and he's been kind of like low key just being like, hey, this is just strictly promoting like the band, the album, and not really interacting too much with people.
Mhm.
But him taking a lot of like accountability and responsibility for his actions and being like, yeah, I fucked up. That's pretty much what I mean, me as a person, that's how I would want to see people accepting, like when shit happens, like, okay, yeah, I fucked up. That was bad. I feel bad about it. What am I going to do to change it? And then you see the change. But again, for some people, because it has been such this consistency of cancel culture, I'm like, oh, that's it. They're just done forever. There's no thing of rehabilitation or reform. I think we really need to start to get out of that mindset. And I think it's going to be really, really hard, especially when you have people on the other side being like, well, are you sure it happened? Like, it happened years ago. Are you sure? It's like, it's both sides. Both sides need to like shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And like meet in the middle is what I need. But we all need.
We have had a lot of stuff in the news right now. I would love to talk about all this stuff about defund the police and abolish prison and all this stuff because I personally have not experienced a lot of people saying things to me specifically. I wish I did because I got some shit to say and I have some fucking facts to back it up. But at this point in this podcast, this is me utilizing the platform that we have built to educate anybody who might be listening. I was talking to a friend the other day about podcasts, and he was asking for some recommendations, and I recommend Behind the Bastards to anybody because I think it's just a great, like, informative historical podcast about terrible people and lasting legacies on how things operate now or how people get away with shit that like you wouldn't really think of unless you had this historical context behind it. A lot about fascism, which are some of the best episodes.
Very topical.
Guys, if you learn about fascism, you will be immediately educated on what the fuck's going on right now. Like it's literally just that little of stuff. Just learn a little bit about fascism. You go, oh, that's this. So he was asking me for some recommendations, and he's like, yeah, I have a hard time like listening to a podcast because it's hard to focus in on it, and you want to give it your attention. You want to, especially if there's a lot of information that you want to gather, it's hard to just like focus on it and gather all that information, especially because a podcast is supposed to be in your ear. You're supposed to be doing some stuff, cleaning the apartment, whatever, while you have it on. So I mentioned that podcast Behind the Bastards because one thing that I really appreciate about it is that it's just given up as little tidbits of information, and there's a comedian on it who then like reacts to terrible information. It's like, hey, let me tell you about the KKK, and then the person goes, what the fuck? So it's like you're getting that information about the KKK, and then you get it kind of like solidified in your head rather than having to listen to the whole thing straight through and comprehend every single talking point that's brought up. It then lets you come out of that by saying, cool, this is what I learned from it, and now I can speak to other people about it. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to tell you some information that I mildly gleaned from these podcasts that I've listened to.
You mildly gleaned.
I gleaned real gleany. Also, hi, Peter. Hi, Courtney, on the podcast.
We're talking about your forehead again.
I know. I was worried about my forehead. It's fine.
You can always get bangs.
Yeah, I have to get emo bangs in order to cover it up.
That's so be here's the demonstration.
If you're not watching on Twitch, you're missing out on these.
I'm just saying, you can see my good red fringe now that it's fixed.
Yeah. So I know it's shinier than usual. I've been sweating.
It's like my shiny teeth in me, but my shiny forehead.
I was cooking like a elaborate dinner. I don't know what
was your elaborate dinner before we go into defunding the police?
Yeah, right. Buffalo cauliflower bowls with a green tahini dressing, coleslaw. Yeah, it was really good.
That's fancier than what I anticipated.
Listen, I'm bored, and I'm bored, and I don't have a job, so
Listen, you could be the new. You could be someone new at Bon Appetit.
Listen, I love Bon Appetit. That was a really disappointing thing to hear about all these people not being paid correctly. But I'm very glad that there is some change over there that is going to happen. I have faith. Yeah. I have faith in them. I love Bon Appetit, and I love all those people that make their videos. So, well wishes to the team who won't listen to this podcast.
At Condé Nast, as we completely
yeah,
and considerably diss their other subsidiary, Pitchfork.
yeah, fuck them. They know what they did. They know why they're that way. Right. So, defund the police. Not a lot of people in my feeds, not a lot of people talking to me directly. But I feel like the basic argument is like, we don't need policing as much as we need other things that will reduce the necessities in quotes of police. So people seem to be very concerned about saying, oh, we just want to defund them. We don't want to abolish them. And other people don't have other people aren't confident enough to say, nope, abolish them, because they haven't benefited most of our culture and society very much ever. So I am more in the camp of saying just abolish the police force, because the money that is being spent, which is way too much, can benefit the people that they are meant to protect. Again, quotes. It's like, yeah, none of this is true. It's just quotes. If they're meant to protect certain people, if those people need protection, if those people need support from our local governments, from our communities, then there needs to be a better way to do that. And it doesn't seem to be benefiting any of us to put just a fuck ton of money into Courtney just mentioned we're going to talk about this too. CPS voted to keep CPD in schools. So like, yeah, fucking great. Chicago is not leading the country on this by any means. And I'm learning also from this podcast that Chicago was kind of like one of the breeding grounds of a lot of policing things that have happened in other places, which is fucking cool. Yeah, it's about transitioning the police force away from what they are into a support function of the government that will benefit the people, as opposed to dumping a bunch of money into a system that clearly is not benefiting our culture and society. I want to get into more specifics. The problem of speaking into an echo chamber is that no one is arguing with you, and I'm very happy to speak to certain things, such as like the specifics of just putting more money into mental health, putting more money into healthcare in general, putting more money into education, which fucking obviously, like, the fuck, like, why?
I mean, there's so many reasons why, like, you go to certain areas and they don't get the funding they need. I mean, that's why people have been, saying like no standardized testing for years, because
Yeah,
based on you basically as a teacher and as a school district and as a principal as well, you get raises, you get bonuses, you get funding for your entire school and district based on how well those kids do on standardized testing.
yeah,
And that's not right, because if you go to areas as well that aren't properly funded with money from the state that they should be, because they are in lower income areas, because they have those lower standardized test grades,
yeah.
it's a cycle. First of all,
And then you
you're
close a bunch of schools,
yeah,
like,
and
and
then
then you
you
put
force
cops in
them all
them.
into one area. Then you put cops in there. They're not properly learning what they need to learn. It's a huge cycle, and it goes
Yeah,
back decades, if not centuries at this point.
yeah. I mean, you
That's
can,
that's the issue we're
yeah,
looking to fix.
like, it is incredulous to me that anyone would argue that by putting more money into education and teaching people of all backgrounds in all places the same, as high of a caliber and high of a quality as you can manage, that it wouldn't like negate the need for police. Like, well, we have to have police in order to stop crime. Okay, but what if like we reduced crime not through like laws, because a criminal is only a criminal because they break a law? What if we like reduced crime by like education and counseling and mental health services and healthcare? Like, what if we tried that? And then there's people who say, well, we don't have any money for that. And it's like, so let's say that you're sick. You're like, oh man, I have this really bad cough. It just stays with me all the time. I can't get rid of it. So I take like 3 different medicines three different medicines in order to get rid of my cough. Meanwhile, it's like, bro, just fix the problem. Like the problem is that you can't stop coughing. Like there's got to be something else there. And then you watch like House, and you're like, oh, I'll just have Hugh Laurie like walk around in his cane, talk shit to some people, and then he'll tell me like the deeper root cause here, and I'll walk out of the hospital super happy. Like that's not necessarily an argument for healthcare, I guess. Look, House is a show of its time. It's fine. I liked House, but
Okay.
yeah, it's a fine show. But it's that idea of like you're trying to solve crime, but you're also the people who then make crime. I don't know. Courtney says the problem is putting money into education doesn't have an immediate result and an instant satisfaction culture. People have no patience to wait. And that you love House. Thank you.
No, yeah. That's pretty on the nose, Courtney, because especially here in Chicago, we always as people say we want immediate reform and change. Obviously, yeah, that's what we want. But I don't think anybody really wants to realize or comprehend the fact that change can mean, in like political terms, anywhere from 2 to 10 years to see significant results. I mean, that's why, just for a cross comparison, you can't have full understanding of the medical effects and the side effects that come from smoking Juuls yet, because they haven't been out for as long as cigarettes have. When cigarettes had their effects reported, it was about, I think, like 10 or so years later that they saw consistencies with people developing lung cancer or having emphysema and all these other things happening to them. You have to have a long enough period of time to basically do like a report on it. I mean, when you do any like psychology studies, even if you're doing a test, say on like a drug, you have like a placebo and then you have the actual drug that you're testing, you can do that, but you have to have a large enough sample size. And then depending on if you're saying what the side effects are, again, you have to have years and years of, studies run. That's why also like with coronavirus medicines, there's not enough testing to see what actually would work, and there's not enough testing side by side for years and years to correlate any of it. So that's also another reason why things don't get done.
Like, and I mean, obviously we are an instant gratification, instant satisfaction culture, and I 100% agree with that as a hurdle we need to get over in a lot of these things. But the idea to me that somebody would say, I'm not racist, but would also not want to solve the issue of that would not want to solve the issues that are happening in neighborhoods where people of color live, and they're shutting down schools in these neighborhoods, in these lower income neighborhoods that are primarily people of color, that would not say like, oh, like these two things may be able to connect. Like they may, I'm doing a connecting thing on camera right now, but it's like they connect. Like they're relatively similar ideas. And that's where we get into like all the discussions of like how white supremacy has pervaded our culture, and how even after the Civil War and after slavery was ended, people still wanted, people were afraid of black people and therefore needed to pass a bunch of laws, and also wanted to keep white people who may not be scared of the idea that, Behind the Bastards is a great podcast if you just want to like, they're doing like a series on policing right now, and I listen to every episode like as soon as it comes out because it's actually awesome. They just talked about the Tulsa massacre today, which was just really light listening.
Casual.
Yeah, I see. Like again, I'm arguing with myself right now because I don't have anybody who's against this on here, and I don't want to like. If you know who Steven Crowder is, he seems like a guy who just argues right far right, usually talking points with himself on his podcast, and then tries to say something controversial enough where he can say, "I was just kidding," and then nobody should actually take him seriously when he is homophobic, racist, sexist, misogynistic, classist, etc.
Everything bad.
Yeah,
just everything bad.
He's a fucking asshole because he's famous for being an asshole. Like, you're going to be an asshole. Like, anybody who does talk radio on the right is like, you're an asshole, so you're famous for being an asshole. I don't want to be that, but I also don't want to be like on the other side, the now this politics where it's like, this guy on the right is a total loser and idiot, and none of this is true. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't help anybody. Like,
that does nothing for no one.
It does. It's like, you're right, but who cares? Like, this isn't, you're not convincing anybody of something that they should believe. You're not changing anybody's minds here. I'm hoping that at least from me arguing with myself and telling you all the things that I've learned, and because unfortunately for our listeners, Lizzie and I are not on two sides of this issue. I think we're on the same side of this issue.
Yeah, we're pretty. I mean, I'll be open to listen to it, but also I've always been taught to listen to the other side, and to quote my debate coach, find out what they said and then slit their throat with it. So
I do think that so right now we have the controversial opinion of, for example, justice for Breonna Taylor, fire all of the police who murdered her,
and arrest them.
And then you have this other issue where we're trying to get rid of prisons. So when you want to arrest these policemen who killed who killed Breonna Taylor, like, where are they supposed to go? Like, all of these people that we talked about who committed these sexual assault, sexual harassment allegations, or did it or whatever, it's like, where are they supposed to go? We don't have systems in place for what is supposed to happen to them after this. We don't necessarily, everybody who believes that they should be arrested and punished for their actions, for committing a crime, for murdering a woman, an innocent person, we are not really 100% sure, like, where do they go? What do we do with them?
I think what a lot of people try to do is look to other countries. Like, I think it's like the Netherlands and Sweden, where they do have
oh, let me tell you about the Netherlands and Sweden.
Oh, it's just public prison. So, but also their sentencing is severely reduced. So the most that you can get if you do commit murder is about 20 to 30 years. Where here you have life, or you can have like 114 years plus consecutive other life sentences, something crazy like that, where you're like, yeah, obviously, like, that's just life in prison. Then I just don't know why you're putting a number to it, but chill. That you're not going to be alive when you come out is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
But that's because in those types of scenarios, they do have like rehabilitation, essentially. And I think that that's what you need to start to do, is look at it as like, this is rehabilitation. We are reteaching you. We are unlearning all these things that you have done, and then trying to fix it. But then there's also a lot of complexities, because like, what if somebody's like a serial killer? Like, they are like a legit like psycho or sociopath. Like, I don't know if you can fix or help unlearn any of that, because a lot of those things, when I listen to my murder podcast, a lot of those tendencies that they have start super young. And it could just be like they like pulled a knife out on their sibling, or if like they started like killing animals in the backyard or some crazy shit like that. It starts at a young age, and it can necessarily just be not even like their parents or like abusive assholes or something. They could just have completely normal parents, but just come out like that. And then whatever has happened to them in like their brain chemically, that's just how it resulted. So I think it's so much more complex, that once it would need that kind of complexity would need to be worked out first and foremost before we even came up to like, say, a judge or jury and said like, hey, we should abolish the police, we should defund the police, we should move money over here and switch this up, because that's going to be a key point that they're going to ask. And the other key point, which is fucking stupid, is what if somebody's breaking into your house, or what if somebody sexually assaulted you? It's like, They've done shit about it. Listen, I almost got fucking kidnapped at the metro stop here in my hometown, and I called the police officer. They came to my house after I got home, and they took down my info. Dude did not take me seriously.
Yeah.
They called me the next day and said, "Oh, my sergeant actually wants me to take and make a full report on it." I'm like, "You didn't before?
Yeah.
Was it not serious enough for you?" So that's my thing.
He says that to you. Like
he says it to me. Then he comes to my house, asks me again, and then criticizes me about the things that I am saying. Even though that there has also been multiple reports in this area of like people trying to solicit like a sex trafficking thing happening in this area, like the few months prior to this happening. This was like in October or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so clearly your argument, at least from my perspective, means absolutely fucking shit to me.
Right.
Because me as a single individual person or people that I know would have more power in going to find out who that person is than the whole ass police.
Yep, 100%.
And now I'm not also saying or condoning like having your own like community militia or policing because that's how we breed like white supremacists and shit like that. So that is another issue. Right. So there's a lot of things to deconstruct here, but we need to start from the bottom, like the nitty gritty where nobody wants to look because that's the roots. That's where they're planted from. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to start to rip those out first and move your way up before we take the entire thing out because it's going to be less messy and we're going to have a less pushback then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree that's going to be an argument. I've heard the argument about like, I mean, really it was about rapists. It was about what do we do with rape? What do we do with murder? Like, you know, really vile people. And it's like, well, the cops aren't handling that now. So like how many fucking asshole white kids have gotten away with raping somebody because police don't care? Like, that is not going to change anytime soon if we continue on the same path. Like, it just won't. No one is going to care about white boys raping anybody in this culture that we've set up and we've established. So we need to change that. I mean, as you brought up other countries and the Netherlands and Sweden, two places I know very well. I lived in Sweden and I fucking love the Netherlands. God, they're awesome. But it's, you know, like if someone is committing a crime, there's a really good chance that they are committing that crime because of a reason in their life that tells them they have to. So if you create a culture, if you create a society that doesn't create a need for them to do that, then essentially you should solve the issue. I'm saying this slower because I'm hoping to find something within what I'm saying that like, no, okay, that won't work. Like, but right, like, for example, if you were trying to rob a house, chances are you were robbing that house because you needed something that house has that you don't. Now, I'm doing this purely from a logical standpoint of like somebody who is more likely to be robbed than to rob. I am not that unemployed yet.
Oh my God.
No, I'm.
Hey, this is recorded. Just remember, just in case.
I doubt
going forward.
Anything you say on a podcast is just for you and your 5 viewers. So, no, I would just assume that would be the reason. Like, I've even read some things online where it's like, if you see somebody who is trying to do something like this, like, if they're trying to rob something or if they are drunk and disorderly or any of these things, it's like, well, there's a reason that this is happening. Like anything beyond like what you're witnessing, there's a reason that it's happening. So do we need to then establish a society that prevents the problem from happening in the first place and then also have a better system to solve that problem when it does happen? Because I would assume, and I don't have statistics here in front of me for this recorded podcast about Sweden and Netherlands crime rates, but I know they're lower. And I know they have way fewer recorded cases of crimes in general, but I also know that their standards of what is a rape or what is a sexual assault are so much more strict than what they are here. So like inappropriate kissing could be reported as a rape. Like it's, I don't want to say that specifically is in there, but like there
something
are,
of that level.
yeah,
And I mean, we are learning what the different definitions of what rape can be here
yeah,
too. I mean, even coercion is what,
yeah,
is a big thing that's coming out now. And it's important, and it's becoming more of like a, oh, this happened while I was in a relationship with somebody. Is it still? And then again, this is why people also don't say anything till years after the fact. And that's what makes it harder for people to come out with this, because there's so many societal classifications and like non-definitional um rhetoric being put to any of it, that we're just trying to figure it out. But it is, if we look at the problem of it, the problem of everything is because of how we have constructed society and to work backwards from it. But when it comes to at least like abolishing defunding the police, which essentially in the, obviously if you haven't gotten it yet, what it means is we're just going to redistribute the money. So instead of like CPD getting over like $1 million for themselves, we put like maybe $250,000 into education in lower income areas for people. And we change the circumstances for them, because with the poverty cycle for those people in those areas, it's consistent until that there is any intervention from a higher power, and that being either like a mentor or some like a government official, a
mm-hmm.
teacher, somebody who has more power to try to guide you. And oftentimes, because you are stuck in that cycle either by generation or just because of the mindset you have been put into, people fail a lot of the time. But if we change that area and that society in which that they are living in, and we put funding into those areas so they can start to learn more about it, and so that they have more of this secondary intervention, then they can become, you know, more involved into these different things, instead of becoming just another statistic, depending on whatever statistic you want to equate it to.
Mm. Courtney mentions in the chat, New Zealand legalized prostitution to stop domestic violence. Now they get insurance and protection under the law. Yeah, so legalizing sex work and giving, I mean, yeah, insurance and healthcare and protection under the law is like, yeah, you need to give more rights and freedom to people if you want this to be the country of freedom. I don't know, but yeah, it's to me just that simple. Like we need to realize that the way that we are trying to solve all of our problems is not really the way to solve it. The way to solve it is like everything else. You do the work beforehand so that the issues don't happen. And when they do happen, you have people that are specifically tailored to the situation that comes up and can handle it for that. If there is something like a rape, then there is somebody who is trained for support for a rape victim, support for finding out information about the rape, for proving whatever. Most cops aren't even pursuing rape cases. They don't test anything. They don't give a shit. So it's bullshit to believe that anybody is actually getting their issue handled by the police if they are a rape victim at this point. You're getting more of a solution through tweets right now than you are through the police system. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, there have been articles ran through too. God, I don't remember where it is, but they had found like hundreds of thousands untested rape kits dating back to like the 90s that weren't tested, and those could have been people who were serial rapists or were still out there possibly.
Yep. It's I don't know, because I also don't know if we have anybody who's going to listen to our podcast who is on the other side of this issue, or maybe you're open-minded but you're not really 100% sure. And I don't know if we're like we are repeating things that we've heard from other sources, so there's always somebody else you could go check out. Like we gave you some resources here, but I would at the very least like say to look at the situations that are happening now in the world and think like, are the police helping with this? I saw somebody post the other day like it is kind of ridiculous that when you are stopped in your vehicle by somebody who has a gun and they approach your vehicle with a gun at all. Like that is like we have become so accustomed to the fact that somebody with a ready weapon is just approaching you at your vehicle after telling you to stop driving it wherever you were going so that they can just approach you and for any reason. Like that's like we should be looking at all these kind of things and saying, does this make sense? Is this the kind of society that I want? Is this the kind of thing that I want to happen to me or anybody I know or people that I don't know? And saying that if you would like to solve these problems, that we can get ahead of the problems, I think just makes a lot more sense to break it down as like a massive issue into a smaller issue and say, historically, we have done this. It doesn't have to be that way if we choose not to do it anymore. I think we'll go ahead and we'll wrap this episode up here. As per usual, we will stick around and chat on Twitch for a little while longer. Make sure that you are following us on Twitch and you come and hang out every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Chat with us. Give us your opinions in the fucking chat over there, and we'll keep chatting with you on Twitch after the episode. But we appreciate you.
We do. Not. I don't appreciate Brian's weird voice with that, but I appreciate everyone else.
I'm going through it, man. Let me just play this outro music, and we'll see you on Twitch. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for assuming that all cops are bastards along with us. I think we're fine with assuming that. From everyone here at the Emo Social Club podcast, I'm Brian.
I'm Lizzie.
And goodbye.